So it's about 9 a.m. on Monday, February 28th, 2022. As you can see, that's the VIP club of the Premier Palace Hotel. I'm walking down to Krishatik, and I'm going to the supermarket. They've announced that it's okay to go to supermarkets and pharmacies. The problem that we're having is that because of the weapons that the Zelensky regime handed out willy-nilly in the last few days, a lot of criminals have these military-grade weapons, quite frankly. And so there's been robberies, there's been looting, there's been rapes, there's been all kinds of havoc because of these criminals. And it's known for a fact that these a lot of the shooting that went on last night in Kiev had nothing to do with the Russians. The Russians were 10 kilometers or more away from these shootings, so it's clearly probably gang-related, gang settling scores and shooting one another. But that's something that the Western media is not talking about, of how the Zelensky regime, by handing out weapons, has basically given weapons to all the criminal elements in the city. And the criminal elements in the city are, first of all, figuring out their dominance hierarchy and this anarchy that the government has created. And soon enough, once that's settled, they'll start targeting the civilians. That's what the Zelensky regime has done, okay? So let's not pretend otherwise. These people have created, they are creating chaos in Ukraine in the name of, the people fighting against the Russians. It's absurd, it's irresponsible, and it will only hurt the Ukrainian people. And I've come to the conclusion that the Zelensky regime is evil.
So that's my situation. And yeah, I'm going to chance it at the border. You see, to me, the right answer was more important than being popular. I was more interested in being proven right, or wrong, as the case may be, than to go along with what everybody else wanted. I didn't care what anybody else wanted. I wanted to know what was the truth. I prefer to be right and to be hated. That's where I stand. You see, it's happened to me countless times that I've pointed out the truth about something and people got all upset with me. I mean, they really hated my guts, right? I mean, they wanted to kill me and insulted me and blah, blah, blah. I've been the focus of this many, many times because it's my nature. I'm the little boy in the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. I'm the little boy who points and says, hey, that man is not wearing any clothes. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I've always been that guy because I always pay attention to what's going on and often is not realized before anybody else that, somebody's pulling a fast one. And that's caused me a lot of problems and brought me a lot of hate One of the best moments, I'm talking top 3 moments of my life, happened to me when I was 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, I was in the 5th grade and I was in a math class. And this moment happened, 39 years ago. And I still remember it in great detail. It was one of the culminating and defining experiences of my lifetime. It is an insignificant moment, and yet it was filled with everything that I am. And I'm going to tell you all about it. We were sitting at our desks with our book open, and the teacher would go through the book, the textbook, and select a question, and we would do it. And we were divided, I think, into 2 teams, and whichever team got the answer first would get a point. And I don't know, there was some prize or something like that at the end of it. Anyway, I was the star of my team, although nobody liked me, because I kept getting the answer first, and I kept getting it right every single time, because I just like math and I'm very competitive. So anyway, we got to this one question. And so I raced through the problem, got to the answer, shot my hand up, yelling, me, 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 me. And the teacher pointed, and I gave the response. And the teacher looked at the textbook, at the teacher's textbook, which of course had all the answers already written out. I remember they were like bright red. And he pointed and looked at the answer, and he looked at me and he said, no, that's not correct. A kid on the other team got an answer different from mine, and he shot up his hand, and the teacher pointed, and he said a different answer. And the teacher looked at the book and said, that is correct. And I said, and I don't know why I said this, I said, the textbook is wrong. The textbook is wrong. And the teacher, he looked at me and he said, no, that's the answer of the textbook, And there's back and forth, and finally he said, well, why don't you come up here and show us your work? And I went up to the front, and I could feel everybody in the class was not really happy about this. They just wanted to go on to the next question. They didn't want to be like grinding on the same problem. But I knew I was right. I knew it. Everybody sort of like looked at me like, as I walked up to the front of the class, and I picked up a piece of chalk and started writing out my work. And the teacher looked at the answer and looked at the textbooks, and then he started doing the whole thing, looking it over and looking at my work, and then he started doing it right next to my work. And he came to the same answer that I had. And we all realized that the book was wrong. And everybody in the class, I could feel them. They were so unhappy. I didn't understand why. But I thought to myself, I got it right. This is the right answer. The book is wrong. And this trivial moment of 40 years ago, practically, this trivial, insignificant moment, it must have been maybe 10, 15 minutes in a math class of a bunch of 5th graders. It turned out to be one of the most important moments of my life. It's quite common and quite natural. It's an observed psychological phenomena that people hate it when the individual is right and the group is wrong. They hate it. And they despise that outsider who is right. They hate him with a passion. And they will make it clear to him over and over. And the more right he is, the more they will hate him for it. I guess it's a question of how you want to live your life. Do you want to live with, an easy life, part of a group that believes perhaps in corruption, real corruption, believes perhaps in lies, real lies, lies that affect people? Do you want to live under the spell of the group of people who believe lies and who believe the people who tell the lies? Or do you want to know the truth? It's a fair question, because it's comforting to live among a group of happy fools who think things that aren't true. It's comforting. A collective that all thinks the same, and nobody really has to question anything, and nobody has to think for themselves, and everybody just goes along. They go along with the textbook, they go along with the leader, a leader who might be corrupt, a leader who might be not what he portrays himself to be, and out of fear of being discovered, acts in ways that are I don't know. These are questions for people wiser than myself. No, maybe it's more accurate to say, I guess it's really a question that each person has to answer for themselves. Whether they want to follow a book or a leader and close their eyes and just follow along blindly like zombies, or do they want to walk around with their eyes open? Do you want to walk around with your eyes open and asking for yourself, what is the truth? Don't fold either. Because a lot of times, you know, there'll be this urge that when you tell the truth and everybody gets upset with you, there'll be this urge to fold, to say, oh no, right, you're right and I'm wrong. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. You got to control that urge. You got to control that impulse. It's natural. You don't want to be in the firing line. But in the long run, when you're proven right, everything will be aces. And people will always remember that you stood up and spoke the truth when it mattered. Because that's the thing. At the end of the day, all that matters is the truth. Any lies, any bullshit, it doesn't matter. It's short-term obfuscation, any kind of lie or bullshit. Short-term obfuscation, but in the end, the truth always comes out. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it ultimately does come out. And the people who stood by the truth and spoke the truth when it mattered, people remember them and respect them. And the people who told lies, they always get found out. Always.
Please don't be indifferent to my fate. I ask you this very humbly. Please recognize that, well, the literal death that awaits me. Understand what's going on.